Question: is the term Bubba lips offensive? I honestly don't know the answer, but we live in a culture where people are getting offended by certain terms, and I don't know if Bubba lips is offensive. I wouldn't even know about the term if it weren't for people who watch my videos and leave comments and say that to me. They say, wow, you've got some Bubba lips going on there, and they'll even say Jewish or Semitic Bubba lips is what they'll say. And it's not just people in the United States saying this, it's people across the world. They're either saying Semitic or they're saying Bubba lips. But here's the thing, we live in a place where the PC cops, the PC police, they will write you up and give you a ticket if you say something like that on Twitter, even if you don't know that you're not supposed to say it. But I don't know. I don't know if that's racist, if that's offensive or not. Bubba lips. Now, I did a little bit of research on this first, and apparently it's in reference of the character Bubba on Forrest Gump, which, by the way, I saw in the theater when it first came out in '94, in the fall of '94, which is what, exactly like 25 years ago, wasn't it? So they're referencing the character in that movie. And I guess the thing that would make it racist is it's referring to a man who is of African descent, which I'm not really. But as people are leaving these comments, they're saying those are the lips that Jewish people have, or Hebrew or Semitic, however the right term I'm supposed to say for that, because a lot of people, what are you saying, that your lips are religious? I'm like, no, but in American culture, if we say Jewish, we don't care so much about the religion. We're talking about the ethnic background, which is someone who is Hebrew, which there's other traits, not just lips, that we can deduce that to. But in reference, even outside of that, Bubba lips would reference someone who has large lips. But because it references a character who is of African descent in Forrest Gump, even if people are strategically assigning that to the Jewish background, the Sephardic Jewish that shows up on my mom's DNA test, they're taking one trait that is known for being Jewish and saying, oh, but also people who have African descent may have the same kind of lips, and they're combining them and saying that I have Bubba lips. That we know. What we don't know is it offensive? Now, there's a couple ways we're going to find this out. One is I've made this video, and the first way I'll know is if it's offensive, YouTube will immediately censor, well, they won't censor it, but they'll demonetize the video. So, I make $500 a month off of the ads for my YouTube videos. Well, anytime I make a video that will seem, unfriendly to people who want to sponsor video, the sponsors, I get disqualified from getting ads. So if they think that Bubba lips is offensive, and I'm going to put it in the title to test this out, I'll immediately not be making money from this, from which then I can rebuttal it. But it's just a matter of me clicking a button saying I agree that it's not offensive. But it's still, if a moderator still thinks it's offensive, I still won't make money off of this video. So that's one way I'll know. Another way I'll know is the comment section. People will tell me if it is racist, if it is offensive, if it's specifically making fun of people of African descent. I think it's the way we'd find out. But more so in reference to me, people are pointing it back to the Jewish DNA, Hebrew, Semitic, however you want to say it. They're talking about that, not the African reference there. But in closing, here's what I want to say. Anytime I talk about any type of stereotype like this, people get offended. But typically it's not the people who should get offended. Typically it's just straight up Anglo-white people. They get offended about everything. So if you're Anglo-white, you don't have a dog in the fight. Don't leave a comment. You're wasting your time. I don't really care what you think. I care what you think if you're black or if you're Jewish. I care what you, and please identify yourself. Say, look, I am a black American, and yes, it is offensive, or no, it's not, or I'm Jewish, I'm watching your video from Israel, and yes, it's offensive, or no, it's not. But what's funny about culture these days, people who are not part of that stereotype are the ones getting offended. And I've talked about this before. I have many times said there's a reason that Jewish people are stereotyped for being good with money. And I talk about the history of it and how I did a paper on this in college, about how Jewish people they were not allowed, or they were actually allowed to have loans, whereas Christians and Muslims, I guess, couldn't. And they made that and then they were kicked out from this country, and they became experts in managing money. It's not a coincidence that it's hard to find a bank that doesn't have a Jewish man behind it here in the United States. It's not a coincidence that it's hard to find a Hollywood studio that there's not Jewish men behind, and it created 100 years ago or whenever it was. So, but what's funny is Jewish people have never been offended when I talk about that sort of stuff. Anglo white people get offended on their behalf, and that's hilarious. So again, the only people I really care about hearing from are people who are black or people who are Jewish. Are you offended by Bubba lips? Because I don't really know. I'm not offended, but I don't really know what to think about it. And if so, I won't make another video or talk about it again. Comments right here.